Well, CO, this is Tanya and this is my final project for teaching strategies for independent learning in the general education class. So, encouraging students, self-awareness, understanding what is needed. Students need to learn what is expected of them. As parents, we expect our children to do chores and things that we ask them to do. Just as teachers, we expect them to come to school on time and come to class with the things that they are needing to have, such as their book, paper, pencil, and anything else that they need to bring with them. That is self-awareness. They need to understand that. So self-advocacy is also a part of that. Also, being able to stand up for themselves, being able to advocate for themselves, to recognize what they need, and if they have a problem, being able to ask for help or say, I don't understand this. I started my school year off doing some of the things that I read in this chapter, and I was very pleased to know that I was actually doing things that I didn't really need to read about. But anyway, I started it off this school year with telling the students that it's okay to ask questions. It's okay if you get the wrong answer in math. It's okay for us to learn from that. So don't ever feel as if you can't ask for help. But being fourth graders, they still have that little bit of scaredness. And the other day, I had a student who came to me and said, Juliana is scared to tell you something. And I said, well, what is it? And I looked at Juliana and I said, what's wrong? And I had been telling the students that I was going to bring chocolate cake for one of the days that we were going to have state testing. And she just looked at me kind of with this, I don't want to make anybody upset look on her face. And I could tell there was something wrong because I have taught these students from day one to advocate for themselves. But she didn't want to upset me. I could tell this. And finally, the other student said, she's afraid to tell you she doesn't like chocolate cake. And I'm going, is that all? So I connected right there. I said, no, that's okay. Our youngest daughter doesn't like chocolate cake either. But what about lemon cake? Do you like lemon cake? Oh, yes. The beaming smile was perfect. So we had a life lesson. We advocated, we had a problem, and we solved it. I thought that was great. We hit that milestone. We were able to do this. So I was very pleased with the outcome of that. So also self-determination, knowing how to determine how to ask. And again, going back to our situation with the cake, she didn't quite know how to ask. So with the help of her friend, we were able to hit that question and take care of it. And I was very, very pleased. So we learned these ways and we learn how to ask, and we move forward. And it's very important for all of these things. These, work together to help students build independence. And it's important for all students to take control of their self-advocacy, as well as taking care of self-awareness and knowing when that they can ask, and knowing it's okay to ask. Okay. So independent learning. We use include a lot of the time. So we include to help all students on how to ask for help, even in word identification, vocabulary, reading, listening, taking notes, writing. So these learning strategies with word identification, we say the word, we sound it out, we know the meaning, we use it in a sentence, and we just keep building from there. I thought it was really interesting in Chapter 10. It said that a teacher usually is only able to teach about 300 words in a school year. That's not very many when you think about how many words we use in our daily talking. But a lot of our words we already know. And with vocabulary strategies, again, we learn how to say the word, we sound it out, we write it in a sentence, we know the meaning, and we move forward with it. And then our reading skills. We use all types of different skills to read with. I like the one that the chapter 10 said, the SCROL. So we survey, we record, then we use it as a oral, and then learning. So our S is for we survey, and then our C is for connect, and our R is for read. Our O is for outline and reflect and understanding, and then the L is for just learning. And they can do all of these, and there's other acronyms that we use to help students learn things, to read and write and those kind of things. There's also one called CAPS, is one that's also helped with reading stories. The C is for the character. The A is for what's the aim of the story. P is for the problem, or if there's a problem in the story, and most stories have some type of problem or issue. And then S is for solving that problem. I like this one, and I like this one for younger children. I think this would be amazing to use with younger children, having them just starting out reading and possibly using a little bit of writing skills. So then, using all of these, writing notes, all those kind of things help these students learn how to do this. So they're writing notes, they're reading their notes, it's helping them to become better readers. And being organized is a big key. So here we go with math, problem solving in math. And I found all of these different acronyms in Unit 10, and I went, wow, some of these I use and some of them I don't, which is a good thing. So the STAR, I like that. You search, translate, answer, and review. So you're searching for the answer, you're translating it, then you're answering it, and you're reviewing it. The lineup numbers, add the right column, more than 9, then you put it in the ones and send it to the 10s. That's just basically adding and subtracting. And then, of course, smaller, larger, cross off, borrow, and subtract. That's, again, division and subtraction. And I use some of these in my classroom now. So I use whatever I can, whatever my textbook tells me. I've gotten some really good things out of the textbook that we're using in this class. And it's working well. Managing time. This is a big one because being organized is a big part of learning. If we're not organized, we're not learning, we're frustrated all the time because we can't find what we're looking for. So at our school, we use planners, we use calendars, we use folders, and organization. It takes time and it takes practice, as well as being focused, as it says, maintaining focus on what needs to be done. And here in chapter 10, it talked about using HOPS. I thought that was kind of a neat thing that it had suggested. It was, homework, organization, planning, and skills. And like I said, most schools have some way of implementing this HOPS. Ours is, they don't really call it anything. We just have planners. We write in the planners. The students do. We have homework folders. On one side of it, the folder is things that go home and come back. The other side of it is things that stay at home. And I model this. I also have a student planner that I use for my lesson plans. So they see me. They see me writing in my planner. They see me doing lesson plans. They see the lesson plan there, and they see me writing. And then, of course, I have a folder also with their homework or their study sheets or whatever. I have the answer key. I have extra pages for them if they lose them, and sometimes they do. And so, learning how to be organized is a work in progress. And we just keep working at it. So, what to do to ensure all students learn to use the strategies independently? Well, I help them understand, of course, that it is important. So I teach them to try to be organized, show them how to be organized, and help them. And then, of course, self-instruction is they have to do some of these things on their own. I can show them, I can walk them through it, but eventually they have to do it on their own. And again, reading in chapter 10, it was great. I loved it. They can talk to themselves. They can think about it, think it through, talk the instructions to themselves, and that can be useful. And, we used to always say, don't talk to yourself. Well, why not? According to Unit 10, this is great. So I'm way ahead of the game there. I talk to myself all the time. So I think this is great. And then they can remember to look for the keywords in the multiple choice test. They can look at that. They can read the question. They can look for what they're looking for and find those. Self-monitoring is a checklist, basically, and they can talk this out loud too. They see the effects, the change, academic work, explain the self-monitoring to the students. They can see what they're doing. They can see their progress. And then they can also keep their behavior in check that way too. Check to see and ask themselves, are they doing what is correct? Are they doing what needs to be done? And they can self-question that way. Question themselves. Question, is this the instructions? Is this the right way to do it? All of those things that they need to be doing. And with the self-instruction, again, they ask themselves, what are the steps? Maybe they need to know. Maybe they need to repeat those steps several times before they actually understand what they are accomplishing or needing to accomplish. So you have them practice this. And I have started having them read the instructions out loud as a class. And then I have them read them again. And I have them read them not silent, but have them read it very low to themselves. And I think this is helping with their understanding of what they need to be doing. And with division, they just have to keep the problem in front of them and keep saying the problem or how is it multiplied, 2 digits, lower digits, all of these things. They have to just keep going with that. And of course, I did use the textbook that we have, and I thought I had a picture in there of it, but I don't. And this was great. I enjoyed this. I enjoyed Unit 10 very much, and I can use a lot of these strategies in my classroom as well as in my own life. So thank you and have a very blessed day.